Today was Sir Keir Starmer's worst day as Prime Minister. He's currently so toxic that polonium looks at him and runs away.
Imagine a ruler, scarcely established, yet already confronting an extraordinary breakdown in public confidence. A figure who travelled into the heartland, seeking to regain the disappointed, only to be confronted by those he aimed to persuade. What unfolds when the carefully crafted portrait of a national saviour fractures, leaving behind a trail of unresolved doubts and broken pledges? The political stage is transforming, and the vibrations are being sensed throughout the country. From the core of the Red Wall to the revered chambers of Westminster, an expanding wave of disaffection is spreading. Citizens are asking who genuinely speaks for them, who recognizes their hardships, and who, ultimately, deserves responsibility for their destiny. This isn't solely about legislation. It concerns sincerity, reliability, and the very essence of leadership.
The latest poll put Reform about 10 points ahead, and he's lost the Red Wall. So his team of crack advisors said, go to the Red Wall, win them back, slag off Nigel Farage. They'll love that, Sir Keir. Here's what happened.
I've got Peter from The Guardian.
Do you think one of the problems is that Nigel Farage can approximate talking like a human being, where you just resort to talking points and dodging questions?
He's lost The Guardian.
Reform UK say you're running scared of them, that you're sounding increasingly like them with some of the policies and announcements you've made recently. This is a speech that was very defensive, wasn't it?
He's lost Sky News.
Me go to Chris Hope. Chris
Hope, GB News. Prime Minister Nigel Farage has 5 MPs. You've got 403. Are you panicking because Reform is so far ahead in the polls, it seems? Is he living rent-free in your brain? You went to a state school. Your dad worked in a factory. Your mum worked in the NHS. So why has a public school-educated former city trader got more in common with the Red Wall than you have?
The sheer boldness of Keir Starmer's advisors sending him into the Red Wall, the very districts Labour supposedly surrendered, only for him to be brutally dismantled by the press, stands as proof of their monumental misjudgment. The Guardian, Sky News, and GB News all ripped into him. One commentator captured it precisely, asking whether Keir Starmer simply cannot speak like an ordinary person compared with Nigel Farage. This wasn't merely a rough outing, it was a public demolition. He appeared stunned, trapped, and entirely out of his depth. How does a leader claim to connect with the working class when he's confronted with such blatant hostility, even from outlets that once granted him leniency? The issue isn't only whether he's panicking, but whether he even grasps why he's failing.
He's got Nigel Farage living rent-free in his head, and just in case he wasn't absolutely sure, he's being told how unpopular he is.
Speed of the decline in your popularity is historically unprecedented. Isn't this speech today an admission that you have failed and Nigel Farage understands voters better than you?
The constant references to Nigel Farage by Kier Starmer, captured in a brutal clip of him repeating the name endlessly, reveal a deeper strategic collapse. Matthew Lazar's instant reaction, "Matthew's rattled, isn't he?" speaks volumes, though. Labour MPs might have welcomed the chance to rally and strike back. This wasn't combat, it was compulsive name-dropping. The claim that Farage's proposals are unfunded and focused on removing a few pride flags sounded like a desperate, flimsy assault. Rather than presenting his own vision for the nation, Starmer elevated Farage into the centerpiece of his address, making him appear more prominent than ever. Why would a prime minister grant his opponent so much visibility? Effectively reinforcing his relevance.
You went into the election promising to freeze national insurance and keep the two-child benefit cap. You've since raised national insurance on businesses, and now you're considering axing the cap. Isn't attacking Nigel Farage's economic credibility a bit rich?
Yikes. And then, after all that, he has the temerity to say that he's more trustworthy than Nigel Farage.
And that's the question you have to ask about Nigel Farage. Can you trust him? Can you trust him with your future?
Can you entrust him with your future? Keir Starmer's effort to brand Nigel Farage as economically reckless collapsed spectacularly. The very reporter who raised the issue highlighted the glaring double standard. You entered the election vowing to freeze national insurance and preserve the two-child benefit cap. Since then, you've increased national insurance on companies and are now weighing the removal of the cap. Isn't questioning Nigel Farage's economic credibility a bit rich? This isn't merely a slip, it's a breach of trust. Starmer criticized unfunded spending while his own pledges disintegrate around him. Pensioners, farmers, entrepreneurs, and anyone concerned with stability and honest governance must be shaking their heads. How can he ask citizens to rely on him, with their future, their livelihoods, or their mortgages, when his word appears so fragile? This isn't only about policy. It strikes at the very core of his leadership credibility.
Pensioners, farmers, business owners, people who care about not giving away British sovereign territory, people who pay energy bills, the disabled, private school parents, just some of the people who might feel as though Sir Keir Starmer hasn't been entirely honest with them in his first 10 months as PM. And all he's got now is to try and say how working class he is.
Like Nigel Farage, I know what it's like growing up in a cost of living crisis. I know what it's like when your family can't pay the bills, when you fear the postman and the bills that may be brought.
A former Labour Party advisor, Matthew Lazar, admits he's genuinely shocked that the press have turned on him. He notes, one of the hallmarks, I believe, of Starmer's leadership, even before becoming Prime Minister, is that the media were consistently soft on him. Remarkably soft. What unfolded in that room today, I thought, was a complete reversal of their previous stance. This is a damning confession. Starmer enjoyed a free ride, and now the gloves are off if journalists keep up this level of scrutiny, Lazar argues. Keir Starmer could fall. This isn't just a rough moment, it's a fundamental change in how the political class now views him. The burden of expectations and party divisions over matters like the two-child benefit issue are beginning to crush him. Has the press finally woken up to the reality of his leadership, or is this merely the start of a relentless assault?
Look, nothing screams being in touch with the public like delivering a series of speeches in secure, sterile locations surrounded by security. He can't go and meet working class people because this happens.
That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
The sheer awkwardness of Keir Starmer's attempts to present himself as a working-class champion is remarkable. I know what it's like growing up during a cost-of-living crisis. I know what it's like when your family can't cover the bills, when you dread the postman and the envelopes he might bring. This staged empathy feels hollow, especially when delivered in sterile, heavily guarded venues. This isn't the grit or authenticity the Red Wall expects. It's political theatre. The ultimate indictment, a viral clip of a pub landlord shouting, "That man is not welcome in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on, get out of my pub." This isn't just a poor optical. It's a damning symbol of his total disconnect from the very people he claims to represent. What sort of leader needs security to face the public and then gets ejected from a pub?
So I'm the opposite. I'm completely surprised that the press have turned on him. One of the features, I believe, of Starmer's premiership and before he was Prime Minister is that the press have been very, very gentle with him, very gentle. And what went on in that room today, I thought, was a complete reversal of where they've been up till now. If they keep that pressure on, I think he could go. The problem with having so many MPs is that they can form really big clumps and come after him. And with the two-child benefit situation, I think he could be in trouble. And with the winter fuel, you've seen where he is. So I think everybody now is hounding him.
Sean drops a political bombshell. Until now, reform has been viewed as a conservative headache. It's been seen as a problem for the Tories, right? And now it's about to become a threat for Labour. This isn't just about Reform UK peeling way conservative votes anymore. It signals a fundamental shift in British politics. The claim that this is disastrous for the Tory party is swiftly eclipsed by the chilling realization that Labour is next in the crosshairs. What happens when the traditional left-right divide fades and a populist movement like Reform UK begins drawing in disillusioned Labour supporters? Or is this the start of Labour's own existential reckoning? So, there you have it, a leader in turmoil, undone by his own strategic blunders, and profoundly disconnected from the very people he claims to represent. The Red Wall is furious. The press has turned, and a populist outsider is gaining ground, living rent-free in the Prime Minister's mind. Keir Starmer's attempts to cast himself as a man of the people have collapsed. Exposing a blunt reality, authenticity matters more than ever. The question isn't simply whether he can restore trust, but whether the public has already passed judgment. Will this mark the beginning of the end, or can he somehow pull off an unlikely comeback? Only time will tell. But one thing is undeniable, the political landscape has been permanently reshaped, and the battle for the nation's soul is only just beginning. What's your view? Has Keir Starmer sealed his own political fate? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and spread this video.